Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Conley with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we're going to be talking about regripping golf clubs. I'm going to go through the materials you need to regrip your clubs at home, as well as how to do it and some other tips that I've learned along the way. Before I show the materials, it is important to note that this is obviously something that you can get done elsewhere. I know that locally I can go to some places where I think they charge like $3 or $4 a club for the actual work, and maybe the grip will be a couple bucks. So if I wanted to get all of my irons and driver, 13 clubs regripped, it might cost $50 to $100 depending on where you go and what kind of grips you get. But doing it at home is something that I just enjoy the process, and I like to keep my clubs fairly, regripped fairly frequently. So it's worth for me doing the work and getting the materials to do so. So now let's get into the materials that you need. The first thing you're going to need is a hook knife, which is something that looks like a hook right there. These can be purchased individually. I'm sure that they have them at Lowe's or Home Depot, but you can also just buy packs or like a package deal of all the materials that you need to regrip a club. Personally, I got all of these materials on Amazon. I will be showing the brands and whatnot. None of this is paid for. I'm not being paid. This is just what I have and what I use. Also, if you go on Amazon or a site similar and buy golf grips, sometimes they will offer you the regrip kit with it, obviously for a premium, but it's just convenient to get them both. Another thing you'll need is regripping solvent. This came as just a standard bottle, and then you unscrew it and put the little squirter on. This solvent goes on the grip and on the club itself to help the tape stick to the grip itself. Speaking of tape, here is the grip tape itself. This came in a bag. I have a bunch of these because I've purchased grips before. Oftentimes when you purchase grips, they will come with a few grip tapes. And then you will need the actual new grip itself. I purchased these on Amazon. They are Saplies, but there are a ton of grip companies, a lot of great grip companies. Superstroke, which are the ones that I'll be replacing, great grip company. Golf Pride, Win. There's a ton of different products from ranging in different price points. So try them out, see what works for you. And then it is very helpful to have some type of vise or something that you can hold that golf club in so that you're not holding it in your hands throughout cutting and the regripping process that I'm about to show. I will not be doing that in this video because I'm in front of the camera, so I'll be fast forwarding through some things and walking you through it by talking and not necessarily showing. But first off, we're going to start off with removing the grip from the club. So here is the old club. I've got a 4-iron with a Superstroke grip. I am just taking this off because it's a little bit worn down. I will say that this particular Superstroke grip is a good grip. I enjoyed my time with it, but we are going to be cutting it off and replacing it. So what I like to do is I like to take the hook knife and take it right in this top of the grip. And then again, I apologize, it's going to be a little bit awkward because normally I have it vice down or something similar, but I'm going to take it and just cut the top. And now what I do is I just cut a little seam up top and then I just peel it back from there instead of cutting down the entire grip. This is what it should look like when you take that first cut off. I just peel back both sides and then I'm just going to run that all the way down to remove the grip. Then once you pull the grip off entirely, you can discard it. It's of no good use to you. And what you should be left with is just a grip tape already on the golf club. Now, depending on where you got your grips redone or who did it, it can be kind of difficult to remove the grip tape. What I do is I just try and peel it away best I can. And then you can also remove it from this end or this end. I also found it helpful to use something like Goo Gone. This is just something that removes, it just says goo and adhesive remover. So it especially helps once you take off the actual tape and all that sticky residue is still there. If I just put some Goo Gone on a paper towel and run it up and down the shaft itself, I find that very helpful. So there are a few ways to go about it. Just do whatever works best and is most time permitting to you. All right, so I just fast forward through most of that because that is probably the most tedious part of the process for regripping a golf club, is taking off the old tape. As you can see, it's all been taken off, but there is a little bit of this sticky residue. You can feel it to the fingers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to get a standard paper towel. I'm going to add just a little bit of the Goo Gone, and I'm going to run this up and down the shaft of the club just so that I can get rid of all of that other residue so it doesn't prevent the new golf tape from sticking to the golf club. All right, I just removed the remaining residue off the shaft of the golf club. One thing that is very important to note is that if you are going to use something to remove the extra debris on the golf club, you need to make sure that the shaft is completely dry before applying the tape onto it. The tape does not work very well on a wet surface. I'm speaking from experience. So just be sure to have it fully dry before you put the tape on. So the tape is obviously two-sided tape. This side with the logo is going to go on the shaft itself. And then this side on the outside, it has two peels that you can take off as you apply this backside to the golf club. So we're going to remove this backside, which would be directly applied to the club itself. Now, generally, you want to have at least an inch above the shaft where that tape goes above, because this is about as long as a grip. It depends on the kind of grip you get, but you obviously don't want any of this tape showing underneath or past the grip itself. So what I do is I just eyeball it and stick it right on the top there, and then off that I just run it down through the center of the golf club, and then I have one part of it completely applied. I pat that in a few times, and then I slowly make my way with my thumb around the golf club, just being sure to press down. It's going to feel a little bit odd because this tape is still on, so I'm going to remove the first side of that tape, and I'm going to continue all the way around the club with the same consistent patting with this other side of the tape. Just make sure that it gets all the way around the golf club. I remove the other side there. I'm just going to push down where there are some bubbles. For me personally, my tape almost always has bubbles. That's just the nature of the game. I have never found that I feel them or it affects me at all when I put the grip on the club itself. It never affects me personally. Some people are really anal about it. I'm not one of those people. So if it matters to you that much, don't get any bubbles. But for me, I get a little bit of bubbles. So now that the tape is there, it's obviously very sticky, so we need to work fairly quickly. This is where we use the solvent. So firstly, I'm going to take my bottle of solvent and I'm going to squirt it inside of this grip. I put, I think, 5 or 6 squirts. There we go. And then I'm going to cap one end of the grip. I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to turn it back over a few times just to make sure that all that solvent is touching all of the inner parts of this golf grip. And then with the remaining, I'm going to pour it over the grip itself. Just a few drips remaining. Now I'm going to put that grip off to the side, and I'm going to spray down the grip itself. It's more often for me personally that I underspray the grip, so I just try and make sure all parts of it have been amply applied that solvent, because that's what's going to allow the grip to slide on. Then you take the grip itself and you put it on top of the golf club. Obviously, this is where the application comes in. So now I have the grip placed on top. That is actually one of the more difficult parts of this process, is just getting that grip on top, because everything is so sticky. It's important not to touch, but all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the bottom of that grip. And again, sorry, it's a little bit awkward. I don't have it in a vise or anything. And I'm just slowly pulling down, making sure that the club is getting all the way down. And I wouldn't say you need to really rush this process, but if you wait like 30 seconds while it's going down the club, down the shaft of the club, this solvent dries out pretty fast. It's pretty fast acting. So I've got it all the way down there. What I do is I try and wiggle this end right here. There's no wiggle in it. If there was any room, there would be. And I can see that there was a decent amount of solvent put in this, because you see right there that solvent is leaking down a little bit. So just wipe all of that solvent off. When doing it, just try not to have any solvent get on the actual outside of the grip. I'm just going to continue to wipe this bottom portion, And occasionally some will get out on the top through here if you put a lot in. For this, I do not see any on top, so we are good to go. Now this grip is firmly attached to the club. We do need to wait a few minutes. I obviously, I don't really touch them for a few days. I usually do this for, I don't think you need to wait that long. It's just what I do. I'm not golfing for a little while. So I try and regrip when I won't need the clubs for a little bit. I'm just going to leave it to rest, and that is how you regrip a golf club. If you've never regripped a golf club before, it's definitely a process that takes some time, and you can kind of find the way that you can do it the best. Personally, I worked at a golf club when I was in high school. I worked at a country club, and I learned how to regrip that way. And I'm not too fast, but I kind of enjoy the process. I find it a little bit therapeutic naturally. I would say it takes me 6 to 7 minutes to regrip a club. So if I'm doing a bunch of clubs, you can imagine that's, it's over an hour if I'm gonna go through the whole bag. But there's always, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You can just take it to your local golf shop or a PGA Superstore and do it that way. If you have any questions or you want any clarification on anything I brought up in this video, please leave a comment down below. I read and reply to all comments on these videos. We always appreciate it if you like the videos, and if you want to see more content like this or any golf instructional content across the board, our goal is to make you more confident on the golf course. Feel free to subscribe to the Scratch Golf Tips YouTube channel to see future uploads. Thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.